went in kind of thinking in the terms of Cameroonian culture.
Yeah.
And came to realize, there's something around 250 different ethno-linguistic groups in Cameroon. And then being in the capital city, you have so many of those represented. So we had to learn that it wasn't just, okay, this is what Cameroonians do.
Mm-hmm.
It's, okay, there's a lot. Cameroonians are very diverse. As we were trying to learn language and pick up on different things, we learned that, oftentimes the way here in America we show affirmation is, we nod our heads, or we give kind of some sort of verbal feedback, like, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so, But so we had learnd that, at least in the culture we were in, the central area, they would kind of do that to show understanding. But then one time there was a Chadian family who had come, and we were talking with this older lady, this mama, and she kept going, and we were like, is she like having a heart attack? Is something wrong? And then we learned that was in their culture, that was their kind of verbal feedback of agreement.
Wow.
We just thought, oh my word, is something wrong? Is she having a hard time breathing? Kind of a thing. So yeah, it was just little things like that.
It just surprised us that there was so many different things that we would have never even known to pick up on. And then I say to my daughter, when she's like 6, I ask her a question, she doesn't respond. And I said, you need to respond to me. And she said, I did. And I said, no, I didn't hear anything. She's like,
I raised the eyebrows.
Oh no, I raised my eyebrows. That's what they do in Cameroon.
Another thing is we found out, like, people, when you're indicating something in the West, you're going to point with your finger.
Oh yes.
But we had a guy that we worked with who would always point, but he would point with his lips. So he'd be like, and we were just like, at first it was like, what's he doing? And then we figured out, like, oh, he's like actually pointing and indicating. And we just,
my goodness.
Making these faces. But yeah,
I remember we would wave, and then a child would come. And I was like,
we would wave like this.
Bonjour. And he thought I was calling, because in the US we kind of call like this, but there they call like this. And so if I would wave in the right way, they would be like, is she calling me? Does she need me? And I was just like,
And I think another difference too, even in relationships, is, here in the West, the idea of equality is so woven into the fabric of, like I think, we have in the Pledge of Allegiance, with liberty and our justice for all, and there's that idea. And even, France has their liberté, égalité, fraternité as their national motto. And so we have this idea that everybody's equal, everybody's on the same level. And I treat everybody as if they're on the same level. And then you go over to a different society and they're more hierarchical, and it's just accepted. Okay, well, this person is, they occupy a higher post, so they're at naturally they're more important, and they should be treated differently than somebody down here. So we go in as Westerners thinking we're going to treat everybody equal.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it can be offensive without even realizing it, because somebody who's important and you're treating them just like everybody else. And, again, it's figuring out how you honor people,
There's even how to go through the meal line after a funeral or whatever. Like, we always thought we should go last. And they always wanted us to go first. And we felt so uncomfortable going first. And
in the West, it's like, who goes first, at the meals? It's
kids,
the small children, the mothers with the small children, and then the ladies, and then the men.
Yeah.
And there, it's like the exact opposite. It's like, okay, the pastors or the teachers, and then the other men. And then once all the men have gone through, then it's the women, and then the children. And so it's like,
just figuring out that out.
It can feel weird. It can feel wrong when you're coming from one perspective.
It has to be there. How can I have a baby without my husband? And they're just like, what? And we just had so much fun laughing about stuff, and how their mothers took care of you. And they were like, well, who's gonna slap boiling water on your stomach, if your mom's not there? And they had all these things that they would ask me. Or I would show up at church and the lady would be like, oh, your stomach got small so soon. What do you guys do in your culture? And I'm like, nothing. Like, we don't have all these traditions. We had so much fun because that was something that every woman that, if a pregnancy or childbirth or those first weeks, it could be different, but it's all the same. And we really had so fun. And Emmanuel, imagine, okay, I think Cameroon is always hot. And so it's 85 and 90 degrees. My kids were actually born in March, so it might have been early.
Like at the end of the hot, the dry season.
So it might have even
really
been
hot.
92, 93. So I dressed them in onesies. And the Cameroons come to my house and I hurry up and get a blanket on them.
And we had fans on and the
and
windows were open.
I had fans on. And they would be like, your children are going to get a cold and malaria and, all this stuff because, they have a snowsuit or a towel and
they have them all wrapped up in knit hats.
Yeah. Your child doesn't have socks. And so, just for me to see their way works great. For them to see my way works great. Like we all have the wisdom of our mothers and our grandmothers, and it works. And so we would just laugh and, learn so many things because people would always come and visit, of course, it's wonderful. But like this one lady came and visited me and my baby was like 30 hours old and he had mumps. She was sick and she had the mumps. But it was more important for her to visit even while she was sick than to not visit. And so like as a mom, I'm learning all of these things. And even like for me to know that even if I feel like I might have a small cold or something, it's better for me to go and visit someone than to say, well, I didn't come because I had a cold. Like that's not a good idea. And